tried to silence him. They erased his name. But he rebuilt from nothing. He fought every algorithm. They tried again and failed. Now he's back, stronger. From blackout to spotlight, he's at the White House, at the top of his game. Franchi lives.
You are about to enter another dimension, the dimension of truth, unfiltered and uncensored. Welcome to the Raw Feed with Gary Franchi.
Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, coming to you live from the heart of America. Unfiltered truth to millions on YouTube. Hit those donation links below. Every contribution powers our gear. Every contribution keeps the party going. Help me help you. Hit those donation links. YouTube channel memberships. Special acknowledgement in the fellowship. Your super chats keep me standing. Your Rumble rants fuel every round.
Say hello to super chats.
Spread the intel. Every repost extends our reach.
Super chats fuel this spectacle. Your Rumble rants give me strength.
24/7 members-only community, behind-the-scenes discussions.
Connect with fellow patriots.
My mama always said, life is like sharing the truth. Text this stream to your friends. What if I told you the app is real? Download the Next News Network app. Android users, take the Google Play path. iPhone users, App Store awaits.
The deep state panic is showing, and it's uglier than we thought possible. I'm Gary Franchi, and this is the Raw Feed. You know what's fascinating about power? The moment it starts slipping away from corrupt hands, those hands get desperate. And desperate people make mistakes, big ones. The kind that expose decades of carefully hidden schemes right in front of everyone's eyes. But first, let's talk about this day in history. January 20th has always been about transitions of power in America. On this date in 1961, John F. Kennedy delivered that famous inaugural address with the words, "Ask not what your country can do for you." 65 years later, we're watching a very different kind of transition unfold. Kennedy talked about bearing any burden to assure liberty's survival. Today, we're discovering just how heavy those burdens really are when the bill comes due. Because here's what nobody wants to talk about. The reckoning's happening right now in real time, and the dominoes are falling faster than anyone predicted. Take what's happening in Minnesota. Remember Tim Walz, right? The guy who couldn't stop lying about his military service? Well, turns out deception might be a pattern. Federal investigators just showed up with some very serious paperwork, and suddenly a lot of people who thought they were untouchable are scrambling for lawyers. When the FBI starts knocking on governors' doors, it's not for a friendly chat about state policy. Then there's California. Gavin Newsom, the Golden State Empire, just got handed a $1 billion reality check. You know, Democrats always scream that illegal immigrants don't get taxpayer benefits. Well, that narrative just exploded spectacularly. The federal auditors did their job, and now California has to cut a check with 9 zeros on it. That's billion with a B. Makes you wonder what other states have been playing fast and loose with federal health care dollars. Meanwhile, President Trump just dropped a bombshell that has establishment heads spinning. When a president starts talking about massive territorial acquisitions and names specific dollar amounts, you know he's not floating ideas. He's been doing homework. $700 billion is not pocket change even for America. That's serious geopolitical chess, and it's happening while everyone else is still playing checkers. And speaking of serious business, James O'Keefe just pulled off something extraordinary. You want to see what real journalism looks like? This is it. He walked straight into the belly of the beast, into the world's most exclusive gathering of global elite, and came back with recordings that will make your blood run cold. When climate executives are talking about weather modification and artificial rain while sipping cocktails, you realize this is not about saving the planet. It's about controlling it. And if you think corruption only happens at the highest levels, think again. Sometimes the most revealing scandals happen in the places we visit every week. America's largest retailer just got caught red-handed in a scam so brazen, so systematic, that customers are pulling out scales on the aisles to expose it. When a company worth $500 billion needs to cheat families out of a few bucks on meat purchases, you start to understand just how deep the rot goes. Now, here's what connects all of these stories. Accountability. For years, maybe decades, certain people believed they were above consequences. Governors thought they could obstruct federal law enforcement. States figured they could bilk taxpayers indefinitely. Corporate giants assumed nobody would check their math. Global elites believed their private conversations would stay private forever. They were wrong. All of it. What you're witnessing is not just news. It's the foundation of a new era where actions have consequences, where federal law means something, where citizens fight back with camera phones and bathroom scales, and where real journalists risk everything to expose the truth. The old rules are dead. The new accountability is just getting started. And tonight, we're going to show you exactly how deep all this goes, who's really pulling the strings, and why everything you thought you knew about power in America is about to change. So stay with us. You're watching the Raw Feed on the Next News Network. Let's welcome you to the show. Who's here tonight? We got Tamara, Merc Mad, James Fay, Michael Cheney, Salty Nationalist, Anti-Social Distancing Champ, Jeanette Johnson, Shantian Hour, Vicky, T-Duff, James Sorry. It's good to see you guys. Good to see you all here. Sound off from where you're watching and what kind of device you're watching on. I always like to know, and it's great to find out where you're watching from, too. We want everyone to know just how big the family is here at the Next News Network, and, well, it helps us to see geographically where we are. Because this show is global. Yes, we focus on the United States. We focus on international tensions, but The news is global. So is our audience. But right here, right now, you're part of a family. And I'm glad you're here. Eastern Tennessee, Atlanta, Ontario, all the cool kids are here. California, West Virginia, Nevada, Saratoga, Fort Worth, Cincinnati, San Jacinto, Texas, America First, Central California, San Diego, Ohio, 17 Pro Max, boom, what's up, Rumble? Kentucky, Texas in the house. Yeah, it looks like Texas. And Detroit, Wisconsin. Look at all you guys. Everyone is filing in. Look at all the Rumble. We got a lot of Rumblers tonight. Good to see you guys. Lafayette, Upstate, Iowa, Grand Rapids, Alabama. Look at all you guys. Wow. Warms my heart to see everybody checking in. It really, really does. It's really beautiful, actually. I don't ask you guys enough. But when I see all those cities and states checking in, reminds me that I'm not alone. Sometimes it feels like it, though. I work in the studio. A lot of my team works remotely, and we're very focused, very concentrated on getting our work done for you guys every day. And as of late, we've had later shows. We've been working on some new systems, but very brain-intensive work. Got a text message from Tom McCullough, our White House correspondent. He was checking in. He's like, "I'm worried about you, Gary." I'm like, "Yeah, burning the midnight oil every day." But seeing you guys check in is beautiful, man. Really, it is. So we're going to see if we can hit that number tonight on our super chats. You guys know the rules. I'll check in right now. We got a Hot Rod Mike at $4.99. Gary Franchi should post updates on chat so people know what's going on. Inform the N3 peeps. I'm sorry, guys. There's some last-minute things always seem to catch up and always seem to push us back, but we're here now. Don't worry. James Fay, hello, N3 Patriots. Good to see you. All right. Thanks, Becky. All right. United States in the houses. Rick, is it true? Rockwell, Texas. You guys are still... Wow. You're right. It does feel like we're alone, but you're right. We're not. That's right. We're all here. We are Charlie Kirk. Tell us more, Gary. Indiana. What's up, Faith? Good to see you. California. Lucy, Rumble in the house. Feel like I'm on the Titanic. Trish dropping $20 there. Thank you, Trish. Appreciate you. This is MAGA country. We appreciate all you do, Gare Bear. I love you guys. I'm getting a little misty-eyed over here. It's been a long day. We were covering the White House at 10 a.m. The press conference we'll show you later in the show. And then, of course, President Trump did a marathon press briefing today. That was unexpected. I'm getting text messages from our camera operator, Miles, who did a stellar job today. Hats off to Miles, who was out there outside the White House for us and inside the White House, getting the footage that you won't see anywhere else. Exclusive videos on the YouTube channel right now. You can check them out later. The full press conference with President Trump is something to behold. And the reason I bring it up is because there's a reason we go there. Because when you watch the stream that the White House presents, when you watch the stream that you get from the pool feed, from Reuters or AP or whatever that is, or Fox, right? They're all using the same shot. But I have given explicit instructions to Miles that I want his camera, I don't want it to be a static shot. I want it to feel like you are there. I want to take you inside the White House. I want you to feel like you are, like you can cut the tension with a knife. And so his specific job is to whip that camera around and get the shot on the people asking the questions. Get their face. We want to see who these people are. A lot of times you just see the question asked. You never see their face. And that's why It's how we can hold the media accountable. It's how we can give you another perspective that you won't see anywhere else. And it's very important because there are facial cues, body language, things that are lost when you only hear the voice. And that's why I want to make sure you see the full picture. And God bless President Trump for opening the door. It's been a year. I'll be going back to the White House. Don't you worry, but it's been a year since we received our press credentials. And what we've experienced since then is nothing short of remarkable. And now President Trump has allowed us to have that camera perspective, to bring it to you. And we're not gonna waste it. We're gonna give it to you because you deserve it. The American people deserve it. It's about the transparency that this nation needs right now. Because we see how the media is acting. We see what the media is doing. We see how they twist the narratives and how they poison the people with their lies. And the only way that we can combat that is through our cameras and like the citizen journalists out there who are in the streets with their cell phones. I mean, that's what it's about. And that's where you come in. You know, you have the same power that I do. I just been blessed with a platform to be able to present what we find. I used to be in the street with those street activists. I used to have my little camera. Granted, it ran on magnetic tape, and it was a different world then. But now it's very different. You have the cell phone in your hand. You can record anything you need, and you can bring that accountability. And that's what matters. That's why this world is changing so quickly, because of people like you. Let's see, we got Learning Truth, $10. Thank you. And Vicky, you're never alone. We appreciate your dedication. Thank you, guys, sincerely. All right. We're going to get into our first topic of the evening, because this is what you need. You guys need to see what happened at the White House today. And actually, more importantly, what happened outside the White House, which we have to bring this coverage forward. What's happening with Air Force One? I'm not sure. Did something happen? Okay. The FBI just served grand jury subpoenas on Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. We're talking federal conspiracy charges for allegedly obstructing ICE operations. This is not some parking ticket investigation. This is the DOJ coming after elected officials with the full weight of federal law. And the charges they're facing could change everything we know about sanctuary policies. Now, here's what this means for you. If the officials go down for obstructing federal immigration enforcement, every sanctuary city mayor and governor in America just got put on notice. Your local leaders who've been grandstanding about protecting illegal immigrants, they could be next. So this investigation exposes the coordinated effort to undermine federal law enforcement that's been happening right under our noses. We're seeing Antifa handbooks, organized protests at Target stores, and heated anti-ICE rhetoric from the very officials now facing federal charges. This is not about immigration policy anymore. It's about whether elected officials can openly defy federal law without consequences. The precedent set here will determine if the rule of law still means anything in America. Speaking of protecting what matters most, let me tell you about securing your financial future. You see, if you're over 40 and you're planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you have built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? See, many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals, and that means their savings are largely tied to market policies and paper assets with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. And that's where Noble Gold Investment comes in, helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios, gold you can touch. Now, right now may be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit nextnewsgold.com and build your portfolio for the long term. And there's a number on the screen. Write it down and give them a call. Now back to the federal investigation that's shaking up Minnesota politics. See, here's the twist that nobody's talking about. Commander Bovino just publicly eviscerated Walz and Frey for their anti-Border Patrol rhetoric, saying their heated accusations distract from facts. Meanwhile, crazy liberals in Edina are buying salt at Target just to return it as an anti-ICE protest. This isn't random resistance. No, it's not. It's coordinated obstruction from the top down, and now federal investigators are connecting the dots. Take a look at your screen here. FBI serving grand jury subpoenas to Minnesota officials as Oath Keepers call for the Insurrection Act. I received this press release at about 4 o'clock this morning. Yes, I was still up. I was still working. Concerned legal and national security experts to hold press event on federal law enforcement obstruction and attacks on Americans' constitutional rights. I know it's difficult to read, so I'll zoom in for you. A group of legal and national security experts will hold a press event today outside the White House to address escalating obstruction of federal law enforcement and the growing failure of state and local authorities to protect the constitutional rights of American citizens. The event follows the circulation of a situational brief to senior executive officials outlining a coordinated pattern in which federal officers are being obstructed, threatened, assaulted, and politically targeted for carrying out lawful duties. At the same time, American citizens who support federal authority are increasingly being attacked in public spaces and places of worship, while state and local officials refuse or fail to protect their federally secured rights. These are not isolated incidents, organizers said. They represent a systemic breakdown in the uniform execution of federal law and the equal protection of constitutional rights. The press event will focus on escalating attacks on federal officers performing lawful duties, violence and intimidation directed at private citizens, including in churches, the refusal or inability of state and local governments to protect constitutional rights, the institutional and political consequences of continued inaction. Organizers warn that failure to address these conditions risks normalizing selective enforcement of federal law, eroding public trust, and creating a durable precedent of state-level nullification that will destabilize governance going forward. The event will outline legal precedent, historical examples, and available federal authority designed to restore lawful order and protect the rights of the American people. Outside the White House, 10 a.m. this morning. Media outlets encouraged to attend. And we were there. Our cameras were rolling. We captured it all. Probably the only outlet to do so. So we're going to get into that. You're going to see what happened outside the White House. But now we're going to see what's happening with the Minnesota officials. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison on the anti-ICE rioters storming a church during services, calling it a First Amendment activity. Last I checked, we have the right to express and practice our faith, our freedom of religion, right? So what happens when one clashes with the other?
Do with whether they're going to focus or investigate you. So I wish do with whether they're going to focus or investigate you. So I wish in a normal time I would say no. I say this is First Amendment activity. In time like this, it's just really difficult to say because the only one thing is clear. If Trump likes you, you can do no wrong. If he doesn't, he's going to use every weapon he can against you, including our criminal justice system.
Yeah, First Amendment, he says. Ellison's defense of the church disruption becomes crucial context for what federal authorities are about to do. Greg Gutfeld dropping one of the biggest truth nukes on the left ever after they stormed a church. Listen to this.
How you got here, and you won't admit that that is the reason why we're this isn't about immigration. It isn't about ICE. It isn't about Trump. It is about suicidal empathy that is driven by a rescue fantasy. You have all of these young, middle-aged women going out there because they have some kind of emptiness in their lives that are going out there in this kind of rescue delusion, helping people they don't know, strangers who are guilty of crimes. How can you defend that? This is not protesters going to a church. That is a mob. The people that invented the phrase safe spaces are breaking it up, frightening kids, right? These are the people that call us fascists and they're hunting people. These are the people that claim to defend women and yet are defending men who abuse women. These are the people that call us homophobic and yet they want to out ICE guys for using, I don't know, gay sex apps. Let's be honest here. Frey's a pussy. He's scared of these people, or else he would stand up for it. Calling it love, there's no such thing as a mob with love. And imagine showing this tape to Don Lemon 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and saying, is this where you saw yourself, Lemon? Crashing a church service, scaring kids, attacking a pastor? Was this your hope and dream to do this? Radicalization is gradual. Black Lives Matter is now bad guys matter. And now you'll defend anything. You're defending rapists. These are the people you're defending.
On what
and I'm going to go back. No. You had your chance. You brought this up. Where are the police? You know, when you have Hamas supporters and Jewish students, police make the separation. Antifa, Proud Boys, police make the separation. Pro-life and feminists, police make the separation. Somehow that separation is not even here, even when the leaders are framing this as protesters versus persecutors, because that's part of this fantasy world that you live in, and yet they decide that they don't need cops to separate it. The ICE agents aren't supposed to deal with that. Mm-hmm. That's what the police do. So you got to ask yourself, why aren't the police there? Because it's a deliberate thing to create this spectacle. And then I'll finish. Mm-hmm. This is not an isolated thing. These rescue fantasies exist because the real power of women, which is in the roles of community, whether it's wife, mother, work, teaching, that stuff has been marginalized by our modern leftist culture that has to be replaced by activism. Your life is meaningless unless you're out there screaming in a cop's face. You have all these sad people out there in this liberation role playing, and you're egging it on. You should not be egging this on, Jessica. You know, we had this is a time for brave women.
Wow. I couldn't have said it better myself. His outrage is capturing the public mood that's building pressure on federal enforcement to act. The DOJ's Harmeet Dillon says charges are coming against the protesters who stormed a Minnesota church, but tears into state and local officials for not doing their job. Here she is with Glenn Beck.
I think it is fair to say that I saw multiple federal, criminal incidents yesterday, and there will be charges. It's only a question of when can we get a judge to sign off on arrest warrants and exactly what the charges will be.
And those judges have to be in Minnesota, don't they?
They have to be federal judges in Minnesota, and I have to go in front of them, so I'm not going to, say what what is on my mind sometimes. Okay. But right, okay. Let's just say that this isn't Texas, and we aren't getting exactly rapid fire support for charges there on the pace we would love. And people need to understand that there could have been arrests yesterday if Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, enforced his own laws, and Mary Moriarty, the District Attorney of Hennepin County, enforced her own laws. Instead, we see Keith Ellison being interviewed by Don Lemon yesterday, expressing his support for the victims of ICE. So we know exactly nothing is going to happen over there. So you have to understand the federal government has to jump through some additional hurdles. It isn't our job to enforce state law, and we're stepping in to do this here when the state refuses to enforce its own laws.
We're stepping in because the state is refusing to enforce its own laws. DOJ's promise of charges shows federal authorities are stepping in where state officials will not. Now this Leftists disrupt the operations of a Target store in Minneapolis to pressure the company to disavow ICE. When businesses don't do what the left wants them, they use mafia tactics to hurt them until they comply. Wait till you see this.
We are at the Target in Edina. We've got to have about 70 people in line here. Everybody bought salt, and they're returning it. Why? Because we are asking that Target step up as a corporation of moral courage in this critical moment in our country. ICE is leveraging Target's silence. They are abducting Target employees. They are staging in Target parking lots. They are going into Target stores and using it as propaganda opportunities. We are asking Target, whose whole brand has been built on serving the communities in which they are, to step up, speak out, use the corporate power that they have, because we know that's the only thing that they listen to.
So they're harassing Target employees, making them restock all that salt. The Target disruption shows this anti-ICE campaign is expanding beyond the church incident. A group of liberal white women, mostly, have taken over Target in St. Paul, demanding Target stop letting ICE and border agents use their bathrooms. We live in frickin' clown world, says Nick. Look at this.
We are one. We won't stop fighting. We won't stop fighting. Till ICE is gone. Till ICE is gone.
Target says that their mission is to support the joy of everyday life for all families.
Then
do it. Then do it.
Do it. Do it now.
Justice over profit.
Justice over profit. People over.
I sit here not only as a mother or a grandmother, but I sit here as a great-granddaughter of an immigrant. And I sit here and I ask Target, you must stand with us. You must stop discriminating. You must stop treating immigrants wrong. You must give them better wages. You must give them an opportunity to have housing. You must give them an opportunity to feed their children. I sit here because this is the right thing to do.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. They're having sit-ins at Target. The bathroom protests might sound absurd, but they're part of a coordinated pressure campaign that's about to backfire big. This is who sanctuary city politicians and anti-ICE agitators are defending. Cottonwood County, Minnesota refused to honor our detainer for this alleged predator. ICE still arrested him. Criminal illegal alien Samuel Eduardo Arevalo Hernandez of Guatemala. Another menace removed from our streets, thanks to the policies of President Trump and ICE executing the law. ICE is fighting back with real cases that expose what sanctuary policies actually protect. And now we have this. DHS announcing they've arrested 3,000 illegal immigrants in Minnesota tonight. 3,000. Walz Sanctuary Playground is getting cleaned out hard.
DHS announced tonight that they have arrested a total of some 3,000 illegal immigrants in Minnesota, including over the weekend, several convicted of crimes such as homicide and sexual assault. Meantime, several dozen protesters remain here at the federal building, protesting the actions of federal agents, but they are staying behind the newly erected barriers put here by the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department. It is a simple and effective, so far, measure that raises the obvious question: Why didn't local law enforcement do this last week? Brett?
Exactly. Jonathan Hunt live in Minneapolis. Jonathan, thanks.
And I'll answer the question. It's because they want the chaos. They weren't ordered to do anything yet because now the threat is real. The threat to their livelihoods. The massive arrest operation shows federal authorities are done playing games with Minnesota. Mike Davis says Don Lemon can be hit with 2 charges of civil rights violations against white people and Christians. He built the case himself. Watch.
So this is a remarkable clip from yesterday where Harmeet Dillon said, you know, we're going to use enhancements here like the Biden administration did, using this Klan Act that says you're not allowed to conspire to steal the rights of your fellow Americans. Can you talk us through that, Mike? A lot of people were laughing this off. Don Lemon laughed this off on his little podcast with that psychotic SSRI wine mom. You know, who really does, and I heard this, I can't get it out of my head. She looks like she's an alien in a ill-fitting skin suit, and like a bad exoskeleton, like not like the Terminator type. But anyway, this is totally aside, and that's totally petty and bitchy.
What
I'm saying is,
isn't that's Jennifer Welch, right? Isn't that?
Yes, that's correct.
Isn't that a trans woman? You have a trans woman, and then you have. And then you have Don. Yeah, that's.
I don't know anything. I don't want to ever know anything about this lady. I don't know why I have to talk about this lady so much, but she's such an unhinged sociopath that, you know, and I saw this clip and I'm like, of course this is where Don Lemon goes in order to give his sob story. And Don goes there, Mike. Don goes there and goes, I went to the church because they're white people. And what that did was it fell right into the trap that Harmeet Dillon was talking about on my show just an hour earlier. And she said, well, we're going to explore whether there's a racial component here. Like, were they trying to attack white people? And here goes Don Lemon, dumb, like just as dumb, as stupid as you could be, walks right on Jennifer Welch's show and says, yes, I went there to attack white people. So can you please unpack that for me? Sorry for the long answer, a long question. Can you unpack that for me, Mike? Like, how would the KKK Act work here? How would you make this a racial hate crime? I mean, could that possibly happen?
So when Don Lemon went on Dylan Mulvaney's grandfather's show with Jennifer Welch there, then they again, Ben, you're not taking my bait on this, which is hilarious. But what's so crazy is Don Lemon is so stupid.
Yes.
He's going on these shows and he's saying out loud his criminal intent when he's doing these things. So he is building a slam dunk case against himself for a FACE Act violation, for a conspiracy against rights. And not only is this criminal conspiracy against rights targeting Christians, he's also targeting white people. So you can actually charge him twice under 18 USC Section 241, one for conspiring to violate the civil rights of Christians, and then another charge for conspiring to violate the civil rights for white people. This guy is in deep trouble. And Don Lemon thinks that he's going to go play the race card and the gay card and whatever other card he has to get out of this. It's not going to fly with Pam Bondi or Harmeet Dillon. They're not pushovers. This is not the Trump. This is not Trump 1 Justice Department. These are actually bold and fearless warriors who are running the Justice Department this time.
Well, let's just hope that they actually bring those charges. It sounds like the charges are in the works. Civil rights violations are being discussed as legal hammer starts to fall on officials. This is the press event outside the White House. We have the video. Here you can see Ivan Raiklin and Stewart Rhodes right outside the White House earlier today. And this press event is where the constitutional crisis gets formally declared. The law named. Outside the White House, Stewart Rhodes and retired Lieutenant Colonel Ivan Raiklin explicitly identified the Insurrection Act as the legal authority they say applies when federal law is obstructed and courts can't function in real time. Listen.
Federal law provides the president with authority to ensure execution of U.S. laws when obstructions render ordinary judicial proceedings impracticable. This authority has been invoked approximately 30 times in American history. We're talking about the Insurrection Act.
30 times it's been invoked. Rhodes and Raiklin are naming the specific legal authority they want invoked. This is the nuclear option. We have the full video. It's on our X account. It's also on our YouTube channel. You can see it in full. It's about 30 to 40 minutes. But we do have some of the clips here. This is the final warning when they closed the event. Rhodes and Raiklin delivered a blunt message from outside the White House saying decisive action is required now to prevent what they described as irreversible national decline.
We pray that they listen to this and set aside the naysayers and the talking heads that tell them they can't do this. Because if they don't do this, this country's doomed. They have to do it.
They have to do it. The final warning language suggests they believe time is running out for normal legal processes. Now, there are political consequences. Rhodes and Raiklin warned that continued inaction would accelerate lawfare against President Trump and shape upcoming elections, arguing delay carries major political costs. Listen carefully.
If this doesn't happen, guaranteed the Democrats win this election cycle.
Yeah, I can
and then
tell.
Number two, then the two lawsuits that you're co-defendants with President Trump on is going to really come back and bite him.
If action is not taken. They're arguing the political consequences will only get worse without the immediate action. Here's the direct call.
I think the president needs to refocus, think about what the maximum authority you have at your disposal in order to stop the escalation, because this is what's going to happen. You've been forecasting it for 6 years. I've been forecasting it for a few years as well. Look at what just happened in Virginia. The very first thing, and this was on Saturday, when John Brennan's protege, Abigail Spanberger, took over with her attorney general, first thing that they do is start to strip away First Amendment and are moving to stripping away the Second Amendment. This is an open insurrection through legislative means, even though it violates the federal Constitution and our individual rights. The only way to stop this, it's not through half measures, it's through full measures. And
full measures, like the Insurrection Act. This is the clearest call yet for invoking emergency presidential powers to restore federal authority. Here's the warning. Stewart, Rhodes, and Raiklin warned that failure to act could lead to unrest worse than 2020.
But we think that the summer of 2026 will be, if this is not stopped now, nipped in the bud, the violence will be worse than it was in 2020.
If you want to support these guys, if you want to support Stewart Rhodes, he does have a GoFundMe on his website. You can find him on X as well. They're predicting that the inaction will now lead to violence that makes 2020 look small. No half measures. They said partial responses only increase danger, insisting decisive federal action is the only way to prevent further violence.
Half measures don't work. In fact, I would say that half measures led to the tragic shooting of Miss Good, because you have people who are enraged by propaganda against ICE, who are set loose on ICE, who don't understand use of force policy inside of law enforcement. You know, a angry Karen, TDS suffering Karen, is not aware of the fact that a vehicle would be considered lethal force.
TDS is now a clinical diagnosis. The no half measures argument pushes against any compromise solution to the standoff, and the historical precedent is clear. Citing Eisenhower, JFK, and others, they argue presidents have repeatedly used the authority, including the Insurrection Act, to restore order.
President Eisenhower, in 1957, invoked the Insurrection Act to enforce federal law and protect civil rights of black students, and enforcing school desegregation in Little Rock, Arkansas. The governor of Arkansas had ordered his state guard to block integration of the schools. President Eisenhower called the guard of Arkansas into national service and then deployed the 101st Airborne to escort the students.
That's just one example. Just one example of many. Historical precedent matters. Other presidents face similar moments of defiance. Rights under attack, they argue and claim Americans supporting federal authority are being attacked on the streets. We've shown you the footage. And the churches, of course. While state and local officials refuse to protect constitutionally secured rights.
These declarations have coincided with physical assaults on President Trump's supporters, including a January 2026 clash where protesters attacked individuals in Trump apparel and patriotic apparel at deportation rallies, and a late 2025 pro-Trump event in Minneapolis where counter-protesters caused injuries amid ICE-related unrest.
He's citing examples. We've shown you the video. But the attack on rights, supporters gives them their constitutional justification for the intervention. The Guard authority challenge. They warn that statements asserting state control over National Guard units signal direct resistance to federal authority, raising constitutional questions about command and enforcement.
While issuing a warning order to the Minnesota National Guard, asserting, quote, "they are our guard" to protect state interests. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey has similarly discouraged cooperation, stating ICE should, quote, "get the fuck out of Minneapolis."
That's a quote. National Guard authority questions signals this could become a military standoff. Rhodes and Raiklin pointed to Minnesota as a case study in what they describe as state-level defiance of federal law enforcement, arguing it reflects a broader national pattern.
Recent developments in Minnesota exemplify escalation. Governor Tim Walz, shown to be a CCP surrogate practically, has issued statements labeling federal ICE operations as a modern-day Gestapo and urged their departure from the state.
Well, they're not going to be departing, that's for sure. Minnesota does become the test case. If federal authority fails here, it fails everywhere. The law has been named, explicitly identified as the Insurrection Act as the legal authority they say applies when federal law is obstructed and courts cannot function in real time.
Federal law provides the president with authority to ensure execution of U.S. laws when obstructions render ordinary judicial proceedings impracticable. This authority has been invoked approximately 30 times in American history. We're talking about the Insurrection Act.
The Insurrection Act has been officially invoked here. After the buildup about the Insurrection Act, we're about to see the FBI's actual response. Multiple Minnesota officials served by the FBI with grand jury subpoenas for conspiring to impede ICE. Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, St. Paul Mayor Keoli Herr, Ramsey Court County Attorney John Choi, and also Hennepin County has been invoked as well. So, yep, deer in headlights. Multiple individuals. So instead of the Insurrection Act, we get grand jury subpoenas hitting the top Minnesota officials. Here is the news as it broke earlier today.
Get to that, I want to get to the breaking news we have just heard. The FBI has apparently just served subpoenas to several officials here in Minneapolis, including members of the office of Governor Tim Walz. We will bring you more information as we get it on those subpoenas. Meantime, the number of protesters out here at the federal building is diminishing every day, it seems, but the war of words between local officials and the Trump administration.
The war of words continues, but the paper is flying and the subpoenas are too. So they confirm this is real. The federal government is going after Minnesota leadership through the courts. Fox News reports the DOJ served the grand jury subpoenas on the offices of Walz, Frey, and Ellison. The subpoenas are connected to an investigation into the alleged conspiracy to coerce or obstruct ICE operations. This is a big deal, folks. Fox adds the crucial details about the conspiracy charges the officials are facing. And President Trump, though, he had a marathon press conference today. A shocking moment that we were not expecting. but eagerly excited to cover today. Here is President Trump talking about the people in Minnesota who are committing these crimes.
And insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do it. A lot of very low IQ people, they don't do it. Other people work it out, and they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes, and they come from here, they have no money. They never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country, because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job.
Ilhan Omar, $30 million. Where do you think that money came from? Yeah, we all know. Trump's inflammatory comments show he's fully backing this federal crackdown. Also, President Trump firing at Don Lemon over the Minneapolis church confrontation, too.
So this is what the people are trying to protect, because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday.
We showed you the footage, and it was nauseating. Trump's response to Don Lemon connects the church incident directly to his broader immigration agenda, exposing the real reason why Minneapolis politicians are so hostile towards ICE. Listen to this very carefully.
We brought Wisconsin down. We brought Minnesota down, way down, even though everything's a fight, because they want to keep those people that are lying on the floor. They want to keep those people in Minnesota, but they really don't. I don't think the real people of Minnesota, it's a very corrupt place, and the elections are totally corrupt. I feel I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won that state since Richard Nixon. It's a rigged state. And the Somalians vote as one group, even if they're not citizens, and they vote as one group. And, you get 600,000 votes against you. They all ought to get the hell out of here. They're bad for our country.
I can agree with that. Trump explains the political calculation behind Minnesota officials' resistance to ICE. Cassandra McDonald posting that same video we showed you earlier of these libs annoying random workers to stick it to the man.
Folks, I want people to see this live video. We are at the Target in Edina. We've got to have about 70 people in line here. Everybody bought salt, and they're returning it. Why? Because we are asking.
Because they want to stick it to the man. Even mundane protests like salt returns show how this anti-ICE movement has spiraled into absurdity. And then Commander Bavino fried Tim Walz and Mayor Frey for their heated rhetoric and anti-ICE Border Patrol rhetoric. Listen to this.
For too long, residents have been told that enforcing our nation's immigration laws undermines public safety. In reality, the opposite is true. When the law is not enforced, violent offenders remain free. Criminal networks expand, and the community pays the price. Our neighbors, our citizens, our friends pay the price. Rather than confront that reality of which I've just spoken, leaders like Tim Walz or Mayor Frey have relied on heated rhetoric and accusations that distract from the facts.
And that's the exact point of their rhetoric. They want to distract and divide. So the real investigation, the real bombshell, this investigation includes St. Paul Mayor Coley Herr, Ramsey County Attorney John Choi, Hennepin County officials. We're looking at a coordinated conspiracy across multiple jurisdictions to obstruct federal law enforcement. These feds don't serve grand jury subpoenas unless they have serious evidence of criminal activity. The message is crystal clear. The days of sanctuary city officials openly defying federal immigration law without consequences are over. When federal investigators start serving grand jury subpoenas, careers end and people go to prison. This investigation will determine whether elected officials can coordinate to obstruct ICE operations or if the rule of law still applies to everyone. The precedent set here will ripple across every sanctuary jurisdiction in America. Either we're a nation of laws that apply equally or we're not. Do you think these Minnesota officials should face federal charges for obstructing ICE operations? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows you stand with law and order. So there we are. That's the state of Minnesota right now. But now we're going to be moving on to California. Before I do want to acknowledge if there's any more super chats here. Looks like we have a new gifted member here. Karen has just gifted one membership to Home in Montana. Welcome to the family. We're going to keep going. Got some more news to cover tonight. We got to find out what's happening in California because it's equally as disturbing. But rather than a subpoena, they just got handed a very big bill. California just got caught red-handed stealing over $1 billion in federal health care money, but here's the kicker. They were using your tax dollars to fund health care for illegal immigrants while simultaneously running ghost daycare operations that don't even exist. And when investigators started digging deeper, Governor Newsom's response was to immediately shut down public access to those records. So what exactly is he trying to hide? See, this is not just about California anymore. It's about the systematic looting of federal programs happening right under our noses. 7 states plus D.C. owe nearly $1.4 billion for this exact same scam. While you're paying more for your own health care and watching your premiums skyrocket, your federal tax dollars are being illegally diverted to cover people who shouldn't even be here. In the ghost daycare scheme, we're talking about facilities claiming to care for 28 kids while investigators find completely empty buildings. This is organized fraud on a massive scale and is happening in your state too. When governors start shutting down public records, the moment someone asks questions, you know the corruption goes much deeper than anyone imagined. And speaking of feeling sick about government waste, if you're like me and you're getting to that age where your body feels sluggish and off all the time, then listen up. See, recently I wasn't feeling so great, so I called my friend, Dr. Josh, for help. I told him what was happening. His response shocked me. He said that most people don't realize their liver processes everything, every toxin, every medication, every piece of processed food. When it's overwhelmed, your whole body suffers, and that's why he recommended Up Wellness Ultra Liver. See, this isn't just another supplement. It's specifically designed to help your liver detoxify and regenerate naturally. Within weeks, I felt like myself again. My energy returned, brain fog lifted. I actually started sleeping better. So just like California needs to clean up its act, sometimes our bodies need a little cleaning house too. Go to tryultraliver.com/NNN in the description. But the cover-up gets worse. The moment a licensed private investigator started exposing these ghost daycares, Newsom's office issued a directive to shut down the state website. Citizens can no longer search public records about these facilities. However, an investigator found a workaround. And what they're discovering is billions more in fraudulent spending. This is not incompetence. This is deliberate obstruction of justice happening in real time. Supporting and vetting fraud are two entirely different objectives. California has burned through $21 billion appropriated for homelessness. This is not a false narrative. It was discovered and reported by the LA Times. So how could anyone in the right mind support these politicians? This is the screenshot Amuse posted. Corruption. California lost $88 billion to fraud under Newsom. The state auditor now calls it the fraud capital of America. This is not incompetent. It is systematic failure. California named fraud capital as Newsom losses hit $88 billion. So this is really setting up the broader pattern because California's fraud is not limited to homeless spending, as our next source reveals another shocking healthcare scam. Dr. Oz sounding the alarm about another type of fraud. It's only the tip of the iceberg. Wait until you hear about the staggering dollar amounts. The fraud in California could total around $250 billion, maybe more. Chief Investment Officer at Cantor Fitzgerald and GOP candidate for California State Controller, Herb for Controller, expresses his belief to Riley Lewis that the fraud and grifting in California could total around $250 billion. It makes what's happening in Minnesota look like kindergarten.
You're an expert in this. You're running for state controller, which is our last line of defense between fraud and the taxpayer dollar. So let's looking at California. How widespread is this problem?
If you think of Minnesota as the freshman team, we're Division I college. Okay, so we have obviously a much larger economy, much larger population, much wealthier state. I estimate that the number is around 250 billion, and that's excluding some categories. Like I haven't even touched the pension spiking issue and some of the issues around that. It's massive. We know 55 billion from employment development from, during the pandemic. We sent out unemployment checks to prisoners and gang members. We literally sent them to the prisons for people. Medi-Cal, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, our system there. That number over the last 5 years is approaching, in my estimate, close to 100 billion. We know about 26 billion in the homeless. We've got problems with CalFresh. We've got problems with CalWorks, IHHS, which is our home health care system. It is absolutely rampant.
Rampant. He called them the freshman team. That $250 billion estimate gets even more concrete when you look at what auditors have already documented in hard numbers. Wall Street Apes reports Gavin Newsom now has 8 separate agencies officially designated as high risk for waste, fraud, and abuse or mismanagement in California. Roughly $76 billion in fraud, improper payments, and mismanagement was discovered by the auditor. $76 billion. Check this out.
Representative Kevin Kiley stood on the House floor and stated what California's own audit confirms. California is the fraud capital of America. Not hyperbole, not partisan exaggeration, a mathematical certainty derived from the state's own accounting. The number of agencies designated as high risk for waste, fraud, abuse, or mismanagement has doubled under Newsom's tenure. 8 separate agencies now carry this designation, meaning they exhibit serious fiscal pathologies and have failed to implement adequate corrective actions despite repeated warnings. The Employment Development Department that dispensed $32 billion to fraudsters, the Department of Social Services overseeing CalFresh benefits, hemorrhaging billions in improper payments, the Department of Finance that lost track of $24 billion in homelessness funds, the California High-Speed Rail Authority burning through $18 billion with nothing to show but environmental studies and abandoned construction sites, These are not discrete failures, but systemic collapse manifesting across every major function of state government.
Every single level of government in California. So what happened in Minnesota really tipped off everybody. And now every state's under the microscope. Newsom's agencies are bleeding money, but the medical fraud Dr. Oz exposed shows how deep the corruption goes. Dr. Oz revealing how the fraudsters hijacked California's hospice system, exposing the fraud that is ruining lives, and doctors are cashing in on it. Listen to this.
They realized that they could pay doctors to move people into hospice. The hospice is designed for the last 6 months of your life. It means you're going to die. These hospice programs are created when the most common reason that you'd enter it is cancer. But these days, not everyone with cancer dies, but also you're putting a lot of people with Alzheimer's and other conditions in there. So it became a little harder to police whether people are going into hospice. But what happens if 100% of the people in hospice survive 6 months? Like, nobody dies. And that happens
Doesn't sound like hospice.
Doesn't sound like hospice.
Right.
Doctors are being paid to send people inappropriately to hospice. Now, that's a problem, Jan, because if you're put into hospice, you actually give up the rest of your healthcare protection. You no longer get traditional Medicare benefits because you're in hospice, you're dying. So we're not going to pay all these extra expenses for things that aren't going to benefit you because you've decided to pull back. Voluntarily, you've decided that you're not going to go out there and try to get everything done for you possible to help you live longer. You've made peace with the end. But people are put on hospice who don't know it. They don't realize it. And so now they don't have access to regular Medicare anymore. So people are dying because they can't get care because they were falsely tricked into being on hospice. Now, that's a major concern for me. But then I began to look into how this could possibly happen. How is it that we've gotten 7 times more hospice in California over the last several years? Do we have 7 times more people dying? Like, what's going on here? And you begin to realize it's systemic fraud. Everyone decided not to do anything about this. We're not going to look at it. It's too painful, too difficult. Maybe some groups may benefit financially from not checking into this. The doctors are getting engaged so much in the hospice that it's beginning to undermine basic ethos of the healthcare profession. And I'll tell
the basic ethos now being overridden by greed. But as part of a larger puzzle, Trump is now exposing another fraudulent scheme. He posted a video about ghost daycare stealing billions of taxpayer money in California. Newsom is shutting public access to these daycares to try to hide the fraud. Now, we actually played this video a couple times for you guys in the last couple of weeks, but now it's definitely on President Trump's radar. And he looks like this is a Truth Social post. And he posted it here. You can see it. Let's see if we can.
After what's been exposed with the daycares in Minnesota, I'm a licensed private investigator in California. I started looking into state records and I found ghost daycares. These are places where the state inspectors showed up. There would be 28 kids enrolled and there were no kids there in the middle of the day and in the middle of the week.
All right, so a ghost daycare. Is that something Gavin Newsom could say, all right, we'll try to shut that down? Does he cooperate when you start raising this?
No. In fact, today, it got word from the governor's office. There's been a directive to actually shut down public access. So right now, you can't even search the own state website to look into these ghost daycares, but I have found a workaround.
Okay, well, we don't want to tell the governor that you found a workaround, but it does sound like he's trying to cover his tracks.
And that's exactly what he's doing. Now, they aren't ghost daycares. These ghost daycares are not isolated problem. They're part of a systematic abuse of federal health care dollars. Gavin Newsom's California is being instructed to return more than $1 billion in federal funding after audit reveals it used massive amounts of taxpayer dollars to provide health care to illegal aliens.
Battle brewing in California. The Trump administration says the state owes the battle brewing in California. The Trump administration says the state owes the federal government more than $1 billion for health care given to illegal immigrants. William Lajeunesse has a story from L.A. Hi, William.
Well, Dana, there are two stories here, right? One is how rising costs have forced blue states to roll back health care for those without legal status. The other is the White House crackdown on eligibility. If states can't confirm those getting care are U.S. citizens, they have to pay the feds back.
We are auditing aggressively, and we don't like what we see.
In March, the Trump administration began auditing states that provide illegal immigrants with routine health care paid for by American taxpayers. Their findings? 7 states and the District of Columbia owe nearly $1.4 billion for using federal, not state money for immigrant care. Topping the list, California, followed by New York and Illinois.
In California, we've already identified about $1.3 billion of federal dollars spent to take care of illegal immigrants.
Under the law, states can only use federal money for migrants' emergency care.
When you come for elective herding operations or dental cleaning, that's not going to be paid for by the federal taxpayer. It's not right. You don't want folks in one state paying for people in another state without them knowing about it and voting for it.
California says claims it did anything wrong are, quote, flatly false, saying the state routinely reimburses the feds.
Universal health care for all, regardless of pre-existing condition, regardless of the ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status.
After extending care to its entire undocumented population, rising costs forced California to impose premiums and stop accepting new patients. Other states facing rollbacks? Colorado, Illinois, and Minnesota, either cutting subsidies or dropping adults altogether.
It was cruelty dressed as fiscal responsibility. There is no other outcome for when you take away people's health care.
So there are two ways to see this. Some argue that immigrants are here, most work, and it's cheaper.
Take away people's health care. But what if those people never existed to begin with?
To pay for their care under Medicaid than the emergency room. Others say stop the handout. If American taxpayers can't afford the insurance, why should they pay for it for someone else? That's a debate going on in each state. Dana?
We might hear about this later on the 5 as well.
Yeah, we might hear about this a lot later on the Next News Network. The healthcare fraud for illegals brings us right back to our main story, California being forced to return over $1 billion. Steve Hilton, who is running for governor, had this to say.
You mentioned the governor a moment ago. The press office for Governor Newsom responding to President Trump's claim today that California is more corrupt than Minnesota. Newsom's office calling Trump a, quote, deranged habitual liar and saying that since taking office, Newsom has blocked $125 billion in fraud and arrested criminals leeching off taxpayers. Your response to that?
I mean, all they've got is insults and abuse. It's laughable, really. They don't address the serious point. How do they explain away the state auditor's findings of $24 billion? The employment department admitted to $55 billion going missing on his watch. They just admitted $500 million on a phone line that was supposed to have been set up 7 years ago that they had to scrap. On and on. You've got $2.5 billion that the state auditor found in the CalFresh program of food stamps. And these are the things that the state government, Newsom's own administration, is saying. Just that is over $100 billion before you even get to what we found from whistleblowers. So he's not being serious when he just tries to dismiss it with these insults. We've got to have a serious governor who is serious about protecting taxpayers, reducing bloated spending, reducing the fraud so we can cut taxes and make life affordable, especially for working class Californians who've been hit the hardest by all these costs going up.
California's working class getting pinched. The fraud problem isn't happening in isolation. Other states are running similar scams. Unimaginable fraud found in Maryland. State of Maryland accidentally overpaid $807 million in unemployment benefits. The problem is a large percentage of people never received a check. The state says the money cannot be recovered. Oops, our bad.
Almon Sorrell and Marie Newman say they don't care about the finger pointing. They want to know if someone stole their identities and if they're going to be held responsible for paying back money they didn't get.
Well, I found it alarming, alarming and irritating.
Marie Newman and her husband Almon Sorrell say they never applied for or received unemployment funds. But an overpayment letter from the state claims they got nearly $1,000.
This is crazy. Either it's a clerical error
or we've been scammed, or somebody's taken our identity. Because we're both retired.
We pay our bills, we pay our taxes, and to get a letter sort of impugning that we owe money for something that we never got it's concerning, it's difficult.
Now, a state audit has focused on how Maryland handled unemployment benefits over about 4 years, ending in January 2025. It finds the state overpaid more than $807 million in benefits, a vast majority of which it cannot recover.
It's incompetence at its highest level.
Republican Delegate Jesse Pippy responding to the audit, which also found workers were not properly supervised while processing the claims.
I want to underscore that these findings of the over $600 million that are not going to be recoverable in overpayments, 90% of those payments happened during the prior administration.
Labor Secretary Portia Wu says the department has made structural changes to fix many of the problems. Another finding in the audit, state law mandates that someone must be notified within 3 years if they were overpaid and owe the state money. Many of the letters sent by Marylanders to WBAL TV 11 News Investigates are far past that deadline.
The letters certainly add insult to injury. The fact that they're not eligible to recoup this money and they're still sending letters to Maryland residents 5 years later is completely unacceptable.
In a statement,
It's happening everywhere, folks. And it's sparking real legislative action. Republicans pushing for serious consequences. Derek Evans, Senate Republicans are pushing a bill to denaturalize and deport legal immigrants who commit fraud retroactive to 1996. So if you're illegal, if you are here legally and you committed fraud against the United States government, bye-bye.
Brand new legislation designed to do just that. So Republican Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn has introduced this new bill. It's called the Fraud Accountability Act. What it would do is change U.S. law to allow any naturalized Americans convicted of any type of felony fraud to have their U.S. citizenship stripped away and also be deported. Now, the bill has 6 other Senate GOP co-sponsors, including Senators Cotton, Cornyn, Haggerty, Budd, Graham, and Kramer. And Senator Blackburn explained to me why she put forward this bill.
Providing this avenue so that these individuals who would come here and defraud the taxpayer are going to be removed from the country and do it in a more efficient and expedited way.
Do you expect any Senate Democrats to support this?
I would be honored to have them support it, and I think they should support it. When you look at, why would anybody be pro-fraud?
But if the bill passes the Senate, it would then head over to the House. And that is where we caught up with several Democrats who, unsurprisingly, are not fans of the idea of stripping citizenship away from anyone.
I think it's unconstitutional and illegal. I wish we would just move past this stuff about trying to strip citizenship away from people.
I think so long as the Republican Party and the Trump administration is using ICE to attack American citizens and shoot mothers in the face, I'm not willing to have a conversation with them about any other bad faith attempts to terrorize U.S. citizens.
Who the hell knows? These guys wanted to denaturalize the new mayor of New York City, so I don't put any credibility in what they're saying about denaturalization.
And Senator Blackburn's bill would apply to any type of felony fraud conviction, whether it's against a private person, a corporation, or the government. The bill is also retroactive, covering any felony fraud convictions going all the way back to September of 1996. Bill?
All right, thanks, Bill. Watching it for us.
Going back to 96, Senator Paul isn't just complaining, he's proposing Congress solutions to stop the madness. Here he is with Joe Rogan. Generosity without scrutiny is bankrupting America, he writes. Pouring billions into broken programs doesn't solve fraud, it invites it. I propose auditing all welfare programs, but not a single Democrat would vote for it.
We know that during COVID, there were gangs of Russian hackers and Chinese hackers stealing stuff. There were Americans stealing stuff. But we have to have a tighter our problem is everybody's so generous. Everybody wants to help people, and you're a grumpy old terrible Scrooge if you don't want to give refugees more money. But ultimately, you have to give them less money, or you won't get to this. So let's say we gave them $5 billion last year. If you give them $6 billion, do you think we're going to do a better job at rooting out the fraud, or a worse job? If you give them more money, they'll steal more money. You have to give them less, so everybody's looking harder at the money, and you do it. It's the same way with the Pentagon. If you give the Pentagon, $500 billion more, do you think they're going to be better with our money or worse?
Right.
So we got to give less money. So you got to give less money to the refugees, and then you have to have more scrutiny of it. But the interesting question is, if I put forward a bill that says we're going to audit all the welfare, not just the refugee program, we're going to audit all the cash transfer programs for every state. Do you think any Democrats will vote for that? Zero. I don't think one Democrat will vote for it.
I doubt it. Well, also, it would be terrible for their base.
Yeah.
Of course it would be terrible for their base. And their bank accounts. While politicians get rich off government salaries, Paul is actually trying to do something about the waste. Kamala Harris, though, striking it rich on government salary, buys an $8 million mansion in Malibu, California. The fraud and thievery marches on. Where is the accountability? Here's Michael Franzese.
All right, people, we got more breaking news on the fraud here in this government. It's unbelievable. Now Kamala Harris, she just bought an $8 million home in Malibu, California, in one of the richest, most wealthiest locations in the entire world. $8 million. The woman was in government service her entire life. She was never in business. She's got a book out there now, okay, but the sales are flat. She didn't earn $8 million. Her presidential campaign, $2 billion was blown. When she left the campaign, she owed $20 million. She didn't pay a penny, not one penny. The DNC paid off that debt in October. She owes it to the DNC, $20 million. And yet she buys a house for $8 million. Where'd she get the money? People, these people are robbing us blind. Nancy Pelosi, multimillionaire worth hundreds of millions of dollars as a government congressional person. $175,000 a year. Where'd they get this money? She robbed us. Insider trading, we go to jail for. Tim Walz, billions of dollars down the drain. Taxpayer money. California, wait till you get to Newsom. Wait till you get to him. Billions blown. He's a multimillionaire. Multimillionaire. USAID robbed us blind. They are robbing us blind. People, we cannot let them get away with this anymore. And where is the GOP? Where are the indictments? Where are these people being held accountable? It's got to stop. They're $38 trillion in debt, and they want you to pay off their irresponsible behavior that put us in debt. It's unbelievable. We got to hold these people accountable. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. They're making suckers out of us, fools out of us. These people are thieves. They're phonies. They're hypocrites. If we don't clean up what's going on in government, this country is going down. It's unbelievable. They are the mafia. Trust me when I tell you, they are the mafia is in Washington, D.C. and in all these state governments. And if they don't be held accountable, they're going to take us down big time. It's time. GOP, do your job. Put these people in jail or whatever, but hold them accountable. We've had enough.
We've had enough. Put them in jail. At least we're seeing the subpoenas now being thrown to Walz and the gang. The daycare scam shows the same pattern we're seeing everywhere. Massive payouts, zero oversight. Senator Paul, call your senators, ask them to co-sponsor my End Welfare for Non-Citizens Act and stop wasting taxpayer money on fraud. 202-224-3121. Here he is on Real America's
The
Voice.
refugee money, the $5 billion, is still in the appropriations process. In the Republican Senate, virtually every Republican senator voted to keep the refugee money in. Right now, that bill is not. It was supposed to come up this week. They delayed it because I think they heard that I'm going to bring an amendment to strip it. And so it'll still be in the money January 30th. If there's 4, 5, 6 billion in there, I will do whatever it takes to get an amendment vote. And usually if I threaten to slow the process up, I can get a vote. But I think all Republicans and Democrats ought to be voted on whether we're going to look at Somali fraud and look the other way and just keep funneling the money to the refugee welfare programs.
Put it on the record. Get the votes on the record. That's going to tell you everything. These isolated cases are part of a national pattern, as Trump points out, with Minnesota's missing billions. Insane daycare called Aisha Home Childcare in Kent, Washington, was given $753,000 American taxpayer dollars and served 2 kids.
Thought this was just limited to Minnesota, you would be flat out wrong. Put your seatbelt on because things are about to get even worse.
My decoy and I went to Aisha Home Childcare in Kent, Washington.
Oh,
She
Washington.
got inside. A corresponding page for Aisha Home Childcare on the state expenditure website indicates that this place has raked in $753,053 since
Nice.
2022.
Awesome.
We matched the address on the business card given to us with records for an Aisha Home Childcare on the Department of Children, Youth, and Families
Okay,
website
so it's a
for
real
Washington
place?
State. The DCYF indicates that this place only serves 2 children.
Huh.
Their licensed capacity is 12, and they have 10 available slots,
Okay.
reflecting
Wow.
this place only babysits 2 kids. But
So-
they're raking in $753,000? Even if this
Right.
was, let's assume for a second, a legitimate daycare business that's only serving 2 children, there is no world where the government should be giving almost $1 million or $750,000 in subsidies to this place.
But they are. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Citizen journalists are fanning out across the country and finding more and more. Here's the president from his press briefing today.
Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do it. A lot of very low IQ people, they don't do it. Other people work it out, and they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes, and they come from here, they have no money. They never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country. Because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked congressman.
So here's what really happened. California got caught stealing $1.3 billion in federal health care funds. Got exposed for running fake daycare operations worth billions more. Instead of fixing it, they're actively covering up. Newsom's press office called Trump a deranged, habitual liar, while simultaneously blocking public access to the very records that would prove their innocence. That tells you everything that you need to know. This is exactly why we need aggressive federal auditing of every blue state program. When governors start hiding public records, the second someone asks questions, they're admitting guilt. The Trump administration found $1.4 billion in fraudulent healthcare spending across just 7 states and California alone. It accounts for California, almost all of it. But the ghost daycare scheme could be worth billions more. We're not talking about accounting errors. We're talking about systematic theft of your federal dollars to fund programs for people who should not even be here, while fake facilities collect payments for services they never provide. Do you think Newsom would be covering this up if he had nothing to hide? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you check out the Next News merch shop. Wow. That's California for you, folks. And so much more. And we're going to continue moving right along here into our next topic of the evening. Thanks for staying up late with us at the Next News Network. You guys are family, and we love you for it. One thing I haven't checked out here is our statistics and see where we're at with our super chats. I'm going to go and pull those numbers up real quick. Get your butts on the phone, email, contact your state Congress members. Tell them you will never vote for them again if they don't do anything. I did not expect this this level of exposure during this administration. Like when Doge came into being, that was something else. That was exciting. That was like Elon Musk, Tony Stark teaming up with Captain America to fix the federal government. And that was just the federal government. And after Nick Shirley picked up a camera phone and decided to check out a couple daycare centers, the entire house of cards of this fraud is collapsing. What Nick Shirley started is the beginning of an avalanche that will not stop. And now we are seeing the subpoenas sent to Minneapolis. That's a beautiful thing. So again, I still think Nick Shirley deserves Congressional Medal of Honor, Presidential Medal of Freedom. Do hashtag says $10. He says Insurrection Act also enables POTUS to call for veterans and volunteers with requests of governors for unorganized militia support outside National Guard, catapult the invaders from America. Bill's rules, $4.99. We are N3 family, thicker than blood. All right, don't go anywhere. We have more to cover tonight. Lots of big news. This next story, tracking Greenland, which is really exciting. Another unprecedented thing for this administration. I remember it briefly spoke of during the 2016 administration. Trump Part 1. Well, we're finally getting to see what a second administration looks like. And you're about to find out exactly what's going to happen with Greenland. Everyone's screaming war and invasion, but Trump has another plan. And you're about to find out what that is. While America argues over grocery prices, Trump just casually announced a $706 billion offer to buy Greenland from Denmark. That's not a typo. $706 billion plus $100,000 cash payments to every single resident. Maybe it's time to move to Greenland, right? When asked how far he'd go to get it, his response was chilling. You will find out. So what exactly does that mean? See, this is not just about real estate. This is about your future. A $706 billion purchase would reshape American foreign policy forever and potentially trigger the biggest debt expansion in history. Your tax dollars could fund this massive acquisition while domestic issues remain unsolved. But internationally, this puts us on a collision course with NATO ally Denmark and signals a new era of aggressive territorial expansion. If Trump follows through, it sets a precedent for buying sovereign territory that could destabilize global politics. This is the MAGA world order, after all. The question isn't whether America can afford Greenland, it's whether we can afford the consequences of this unprecedented power move. Now, think about this. Never surrendering on big moves. If you ever see something and instantly know it's going to turn heads, that's exactly what happened when I saw these Trump never surrender gold sneakers. They're not subtle, and they're not supposed to be. Gold finish, red, white, and blue details, never surrender right on the shoe. You put these on and you're making the same statement Trump's making with Greenland. Bold, unapologetic, impossible to ignore. While he's negotiating billion-dollar deals, you can walk into any room with that same energy. These sneakers don't whisper politics. They announce it. Because sometimes the biggest statements come in the smallest packages. Link in the description. But here's what nobody's talking about. I'm talking about the timing. This Greenland announcement comes right after Trump declared victory over Iran's nuclear program and announced $18 trillion in new domestic investment. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett just confirmed that this is about national security control. That's diplomatic code for military positioning. We're not just buying ice and polar bears here. We're buying strategic dominance over Arctic shipping routes and rare earth minerals. Here's the president talking about Greenland.
Well, I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because a boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property. So we'll be talking about it with the various people. We've had tremendous success, and I've done more for NATO than anybody else. I don't think you'd have NATO right now. I got them to go 5% and pay as opposed to 2% and not pay. I've done more than any other American president for NATO by far. And we'll see how that goes, but Greenland is very important.
Donald Trump, by far one of the greatest American presidents ever to grace the Oval Office. There's no question. His opening statement sets the stage, but Treasury Secretary is about to reveal the real geopolitical chess game behind the massive purchase. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Listen.
We are still NATO allies. The NATO relationship is strong, and President Trump just believes that the U.S. needs Greenland because no one will make a move on it then. If the Europeans have it, if Denmark has it, what if Russia, what if China makes a move, then we're part of NATO, we'll get pulled in. Isn't it much better that in advance just to cede it to the U.S. and then it has U.S. protection? Because I can tell you, I believe that what President Trump is influenced by is our great allies in the UK. They have a base on an island. We share a military facility on an island called Diego Garcia, and the UK is giving that island to Mauritius, and guess who is behind Mauritius? The Chinese. So we needed to own that island, but the Brits are giving it up.
Unbelievable. The Brits are just giving up Diego Garcia, and we have a presence there. The China warning gains immediate validation as Hungary's Orban breaks ranks with the EU, showing Trump already has European allies on the move. Orban blowing up Brussels' anti-Trump plot. Hungary's prime minister has blocked the European Union from issuing a joint statement attacking President Trump over Greenland. His message was blunt. This is not an issue of the European Union.
See you back in the White House. It's exceptional. There's always a chance, very good chance. Great leader. Come on.
Moving right along here. Orban's EU rebellion perfectly sets up the deeper truth that Trump is exposing, that NATO has been sounding Arctic alarms for decades while Denmark did nothing. Jim Ferguson. Trump exposes the Greenland lie and NATO cannot deny it. President Trump dropped a truth bomb the globalists hope would stay buried. For 25 years, NATO warned Denmark about growing threat in the Arctic. Not months, not years, a quarter of a century. Listen to this.
Securing the Arctic from Russian threats is important to you. Why are you upset about NATO allies thinking that, more seriously Greenland by holding military exercises? Well, that wasn't a military. They sent a few people. And they say they sent them not for me, but to guard against Russia. But, NATO's been warning Denmark for about 20 years now, longer than that, 25 years. They've been warning Denmark about the Russian threat. And it's not only Russia, it's also China. So we'll see what happens. But let's put it this way. It's going to be a very interesting Davos. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good flight. Thank you.
A very interesting Davos on the horizon. This 25-year NATO warning Trump references is not rhetoric. It's hard evidence backing up his national security claims. He's using NATO's own language against them. Here is President Trump's post. NATO's been telling Denmark for 20 years you have to get the Russian threat away from Greenland. Unfortunately, Denmark's been unable to do anything about it. Now it is time, and it will be done. Yeah, it's on the record, NATO. All right? The evidence supports Trump's position, and now his own economic team is doubling down with confident predictions of a successful deal. The art of the deal on the global stage. We're just going to buy Greenland. NEC Director Kevin Hassett.
Right. Well, first of all, I want to say that throughout the negotiations with the Europeans last year, you would have heard them say, oh, if we have a tariff, if we do what President Trump says, it'll be terrible for our economies, you'll tank our economies. And if you go back and look that as we've negotiated these great deals, both for the U.S. and for Europe, then their economies have boomed, their stock markets have boomed. It's been amongst the better years ever for them, because basically they see that the U.S. right now is once again the shining city on the hill, that we're the engine of global growth, and President Trump has accomplished that really in just 1 year. So I think right now, with respect to Greenland, the president has a strong view that it's a national security matter for the U.S. to have more control over Greenland, and I'm confident that in the end he's going to go negotiate a deal that's great for us and great for our partners.
And great for America. His optimism about the negotiation takes new weight when you see the staggering financial offer the White House is reportedly preparing. The bombshell revelation, top White House officials disclosed the United States is finalizing a staggering $700 billion cash offer to buy Greenland outright from Denmark, plus $100,000 lump sum payment to each of its 57,000 residents, totaling nearly $706 billion. $706 billion cash on the table makes Trump's cryptic "you'll find out" response sound less like bluster and more like inevitable action. Here's that moment.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
And we just found out. The ominous promise from Trump suddenly makes sense when you realize he's positioning Greenland as just one piece of a larger strategic victory lap. And the final question of President Trump's marathon presser went to Travis Gilmore of the Epoch Times, a friend of mine, a colleague at the White House in the pool. It was a stunner. Trump named his top 3 wins: a rebuilt U.S. military, $18 trillion in new investment, tariffs. Check this out. This is our unique angle at the White House.
Thank you.
Yes, no, behind you, please.
Thank you, President Trump.
Yes, go ahead.
Really appreciate it, sir. We heard a long list of accomplishments from the last year. Could you cherry pick the top 3? And then looking forward, what are your 3 most important priorities in 2026?
So I think the building of a really powerful military has been a great achievement, and that would include the Venezuela thing, that would include the attack on Iran and the wiping out of the nuclear threat. I think that's been really amazing what we've done militarily. I think what we've done in business has been incredible. We have $18 trillion coming in. Plants are being built all over. Thousands of plants are being built all over the country. 18 trillion is a record. No country has ever come anywhere even close to that. I think that's a record. And I think that most favored nations for drugs is something that nobody thought they'd be able to get. Tariffs helped me there because the nations would have never gone along with it if I wasn't able to say, if you don't go along with it, we're going to put a 10 or 15 or 20% tariff on your nation. And they went along. And our drug prices are going to come down at numbers never even seen before, never even thought possible before. So those would be 3 things. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
That was a remarkable press conference and a great closing question by Travis Gilmore. So where are we now? I'll tell you. It's the bombshell, the real bombshell. White House officials are calling this a finalized offer, not a negotiation starter, a final offer. $700 billion cash on the table. You see, Trump's not testing the waters anymore. He's not floating trial balloons. When he says you'll find out about how far he'll go, that's not political theater. That's called a promise. So this is the biggest territorial acquisition attempt since the Louisiana Purchase. And it's happening in real time. Trump's willing to spend nearly $750 billion to control Greenland's resources and strategic position. The question is whether Denmark will take the money or if we're about to witness the most expensive diplomatic crisis in history. Either way, your world just got a little more complicated. Do you think Denmark should take Trump's $706 billion offer? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that matches this energy. All right. You know what? I didn't check the totals on the thing. Okay, we're going to go into what happened at Davos next. So don't go anywhere. We're at $79.95 in Super Chat revenue today. This is great. We're almost at our goal. Thank you to everybody who is supporting the program tonight. We're going to keep going because what James O'Keefe just pulled off, God, man, I love that guy. Infiltrating Davos. Wait till you see his disguise. He looks like straight Eurotrash. James O'Keefe, man. God bless him. God bless James O'Keefe. You're gonna see it all next. So don't go anywhere. We've got the video. We've got Trump's remarks too. President Trump discussing Davos. And we are going to... What's that, Brian? And what does the card say on the screen? Oh, okay. 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 Actually, we do. Yes. It's an older one. Okay. Just a moment, folks. We're just going to get a couple things organized here. Check out the chat room. They admitted the chemtrails are real. I'd stay away from meconium. He's too gay to be trusted. Trump told him what time of day it was. All 50 states need auditing. Night for Trump. Bunch of oligarchs in smoky rooms deciding our fate. Exactly. That's what happens at Davos. Tampon Tim, hand in the cookie jar. Are you ready, Brian? Okay. Yeah, he did. Trump is not playing with them. Will we be able to listen to Trump's entire speech somewhere? Which speech are you looking for? The one he gave this morning was on the channel. I mean, that was a marathon. That was like almost 2 hours, I think. Say it to Trump directly on Truth Social. He reads it daily. It's Golden Revive. It should be, just scroll through it until you see Golden Revive. So what you're saying is what I sent you earlier today is incorrect than what was presented. Yeah, Up Wellness. It's Up Wellness Golden Revive Plus. Yeah, so okay, so Up Wellness is another product of the same company. So you should see that. Yeah. Run that right now. And then I'll see if there's any conflicts. Maybe we have the wrong. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Okay. What card number was it? 52. Okay, 52. Let's see here. 1 second. 52. Golden Revive. Yeah. Another Spanish ad for Viagra. What? Jeremy Olson. The speech said it all, throwing paperwork on arrests. Oh, yeah. Republicans are... Yeah, so the confusion is the fact that it's the same company name up front. Up Wellness. Well, it's part of the same family, is what I'm trying to say. Like the same company, Up Wellness, is the same company that does the liver and the same company that does the Golden Revive. Yeah, just put it out. Let's see. Yeah, just use that. goldenrevive.com/NNN. God bless Gary and Angie, Brian, Todd, Thomas, and Brett. Mrs. Potterkenny, thank you. Don't wake Daddy. Putin's warning to Europeans about Trump. YouTube's getting very weird. They're supposed to be targeted, but they're... Okay. All right. James O'Keefe just pulled off his most audacious undercover operation yet, infiltrating the World Economic Forum at Davos with a disguise so convincing he got climate executives to spill secrets about carbon taxes, weather modification, and yes, even chemtrails. But when his cover got blown, well, certainly it's going to shock you. You see, this is not just another undercover video. This is your future being decided in secret. While you're struggling with rising energy costs and inflation, these climate elites are literally discussing weather modification and artificial rain programs connected to DARPA and three-letter agencies. They're not just taxing your carbon footprint, they're engineering the weather itself. And when O'Keefe's resources reveal BlackRock is pulling the strings behind the entire climate agenda, you realize this goes way deeper than environmental policy. This is about control. Control over weather, control over resources, and control over you. The moment O'Keefe's disguise was spotted, he had to flee, shows just how desperate they are to keep these conversations hidden from the public. And speaking of things that they do not want you to know about, let me tell you about something that could change your daily comfort. You see, you're getting older. I'm getting older. It's unavoidable. And until science figures out how to age in reverse, one thing most of us face is joint pain. Now, you've probably tried supplements or creams promising miracles, but let's be real, most of them don't work. And here's where most people don't get results from turmeric. See, standard turmeric, the stuff in your pantry or basic capsules, it barely gets absorbed by your body. That makes it almost useless for serious joint pain. That's why renowned pain specialist Dr. Josh Levitt worked with a specific turmeric extract called BCM95 curcumin. It absorbs up to 200 times better than regular turmeric. He didn't stop there. He combined it with boswellia to fight inflammation, magnesium to relax tight muscles, and bromelain to dissolve joint stiffness. All in one formula called Golden Revive Plus. Golden Revive Plus is not just another turmeric pill. It's a complete joint restoration system that's designed to rebuild cartilage, reduce pain, and restore smooth movement. Now, I've started taking Golden Revive Plus myself. The difference is amazing. No more stiffness in the morning, no more hesitation climbing stairs, just easy, pain-free movement again. If you're tired of being disappointed by other joint supplements, try Golden Revive Plus. Visit goldenrevive.com/NNN to learn more. Again, goldenrevive.com/NNN. The link is right below the video in the description box. Now back to O'Keefe's explosive Davos infiltration. Here's the twist nobody saw coming. The executive didn't just talk about weather modification. He specifically mentioned working with DARPA on artificial rain projects. We're talking about the Pentagon's Advanced Research Division collaborating with climate organizations to literally control precipitation. And when O'Keefe pressed about the financial backing, that is when BlackRock's name dropped like a bombshell. Now, before we get to James O'Keefe, I want to get to President Trump's remarks regarding his trip to Davos. And this is what he believes is going to happen there.
I think more than anything else, what I'm going to be speaking about is the tremendous success that we've had in 1 year. I didn't think we could do it this fast. Think of it, it's just now 12 months. And, you know, I say it often, we have the most successful country in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. And this country would have been absolutely stone cold dead. And I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be, because, you know, a lot of them could use some of the advice as to what we did. They need energy. You take a look at their energy policy, they're going to destroy themselves with what they're doing with the windmills and all the nonsense. They need energy help badly, or they're going to be in big trouble, and they need immigration help badly.
President Trump knows exactly what's going to happen at Davos. But did he anticipate James O'Keefe? Just look at the disguise. Look at the wig. James O'Keefe infiltrates Davos World Economic Forum. You ready for this, guys? Let's go.
So right behind me is the Coast Hotel. I'm going to go in there.
Laser light comms, DARPA. That company, do you have that company in your portfolio that does artificial rain? There might be people around you that would be alleged to have an inclination to do that.
Look behind us.
You know, put sulfur dioxide there is actually a pretty cheap way to cool down the earth.
Oh yeah.
So,
Let's say I don't want aluminum oxides in my lettuce. Are you kidding me? A cocktail from Hill that they're spreading above our heads.
Yes.
You guys work with carbon taxes at all? We're on one of the largest climate accelerators. I think he noticed your wig, so I think we should go.
Someone noticed the wig, so we have to get the hell out of here. How you doing, sir? And I support the work you guys are doing. I support what you guys are doing, because they said that BlackRock was behind all the climate stuff. Someone noticed the wig, so we have to get the hell out of here. We are here in Switzerland, in Davos, and we are on top of a mountain eating truffled potato terrine in a vegetable coat with curly endive salad and forest berry dressing. So we decided to pack our bags, get a bunch of undercover people, hidden cameras, and infiltrate the World Economic Forum, or some of the Swiss people call it WEF. WEF, we've heard it being referred to. Some of these people actually looked like James Bond villains, come together to discuss ways to make themselves richer. So what really goes on? What do they really say? We're going to take you there. We also built a fake website and a company called Climate Systems Engineering Group. We had a bunch of business cards on our website. We talked about this climate work that we do on behalf of governments. We have investor money. We want to give money to people to do what we're doing and see what they might say. So we're leaving Bad Ragaz, Switzerland. We're headed to Davos, as the Swiss call it. As you can see, what beautiful scenery. We got to get through the security checkpoint. We're going to tell them that we're skiing, which we were, in Pizol.
and hopefully that gets us into town without any issues. And we're posing as Climate Systems Engineering Group, trying to get that sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere to prevent the sun from coming through. That'll help cool down the environment. That's our cover in Davos.
So first of all, there was an insane amount of security at Davos, men with guns everywhere, even a security checkpoint on the way to the location. So for our first stop, we snuck into the Post Hotel, where they were having a climate scale-up event, and we were able to just walk right in. There you see me just walking into the event with my colleague, my sister, as part of this Climate Systems Engineering Group. Now there inside that hotel, we met a woman named Sarah Lemnier, who talks about her job implementing carbon taxes and climate credits on governments, businesses, and civilians around the world. There was a very loud guitarist playing some operatic version of John Lennon right behind us as we spoke. We apologize for the sound distortion on that.
Aerosols in the weather.
Now, Sarah even boasts that she's in one of the largest climate tax innovators in the United Kingdom, meaning they develop new ways to tax people and governments for the use of carbon. So their idea of reducing carbon emissions is to profit off of it.
Are you working with carbon taxes? We are one of the largest climate accelerators for the Are you helping with rolling out carbon taxes in any of the countries? Compliance markets, and we are looking at CBAM, which is one of the new regulations
CBAM, or Carbon Border Adjustments, is a new scheme in the European Union that involves charging additional carbon fees on every item that is imported or exported. This includes steel, cement, aluminum, fertilizers, electricity, and hydrogen.
Sarah Lemony, CEO of SLK. They're showing her credentials there on the screen for you. And there she is.
A portion of the taxation or helping them implement this in their countries. Do you get that?
We also work with companies to give them like a new revenue stream to strengthen their business model. So for instance, CBAM, we are interested because we see how we can help companies in LATAM, in Africa, in India decarbonize their operations so that they remain competitive to export to Europe. So that's our angle. And lastly, we work with large foundation and development partners, World Bank and institutions, to structure investment vehicles for them so that we can bring in and mobilize more capital.
The next day, through networking at this event, we were led to another event on the promenade with our fictitious climate engineering group. We were invited to something called the Clean Tech Forum.
So you see this sign right here? So we're going to take that to the top of the hill, and we're going to try to get into this event. The event is called Global Clean Tech Forum. We're going to take the gondola top of the hill, so we're going to have the car now. Ready?
As we navigated our way towards the gondola to the top of the hill, looking for something called the Schlazlap Hotel.
Follow me as we go inside this climate thing. Davos is absolutely packed right now. There's people everywhere. It takes about 2.5 to 3 hours just to get into the town, coming from the outside. get into the place, we have to take a gondola all the way to the top. So we're going to take the gondola.
Now, in something called the Schwaznat Hotel, high on the top of the mountain in Davos, Switzerland, there were dozens of entrepreneurs on a stage led by this guy, Balbir Singh, who kind of looks like a James Bond villain with a cane. Balbir yells how BlackRock is behind all of it.
This is a very, very special moment in Davos's history. And I mean this, and I mean it sincerely. You've got BlackRock behind us.
Now, I had seen these pavilions on the promenade earlier where each company had a place where they were located. There was Palantir, Accenture, Deloitte, and BlackRock. I actually walked up to the BlackRock pavilion, made small talk with the security guard, and thanked them for the great work that BlackRock is doing. How you doing, sir? Where do you guys open tomorrow? When do you guys open tomorrow?
It's only if you need an appointment, you can go book an appointment over the homepage.
Okay.
Not possible to go here by open date.
Yeah, I was just at the one of the events, and I support the work you guys are doing. I support what you guys are doing because they said that BlackRock was behind all the climate stuff. So I really appreciate that.
You've got BlackRock behind us.
Now, we were expected to be laughed right out of Davos, Switzerland, with this absurd / ridiculous thing with my wig and my absurd little skinny female European cigarettes, but surprisingly, pretty much everybody took this seriously and offered their own experiences with weather modification, SAI, motivations, interests, and told us that they were actually interested in working with us, having them invest in us, or having us invest in them. We talked to this one Swedish guy who said absolutely fantastic.
So we invest in these technologies to assist with the warming climate, and the effect of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere will help block some of the warming, and the particles stay in the air for 1 year. So, and actually we're speaking to some of the airplane manufacturers and to see if they can emit some of our technology into the atmosphere to help with the global warming. That's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, climate. I mean, we don't like to use the term climate engineering. It scares people, so we prefer.
Of course, but it's but for me, being an engineer, I think that's actually what you do. It's like,
yes.
You can have financial engineering, you can have, I'm sure, climate engineering, because it involves something that's more scientific.
Yes, exactly. You're an engineer, you understand. And it's from Sweden, right?
Yeah.
So we don't like to call them chemtrails. We don't like to use this.
So what do you call it instead?
Well, we call it aerosol injection. Aerosol. It's kind of like little droplets.
Okay.
And the droplets form in the air, and they stay there for a year.
Yeah.
It's modeled kind of a mini volcanic eruption, actually.
Yeah. I mean, aviation fuels have some sulfur in them, so it creates some sulfur dioxide emissions naturally, and that does have a cooling effect.
Now, this guy, Kennedy Ritchie, who runs a company called 4Air, spoke on stage, and he says on his website that he wants to, quote, decarbonize the aviation industry. He actually told me he was trying to eliminate contrails entirely, but then brought up cloud seeding.
A lot of the work actually came out of the military, so they do this all the time.
Have you worked with them at all?
No, because they're a little more closed door about their procedures.
You ever heard of sulfur dioxide?
Yeah.
You've heard of that? Okay.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cheap to do it. The ability to put sulfur dioxide there is actually a pretty cheap way to cool down the earth.
Oh yeah.
So the opportunity for one or two people to do it is impressive. He went a little further. He's like, it'd be interesting if the government start doing this over each other's territories on purpose. Like if we start getting to weather modification as a government, either good or bad. The closest one I'm aware of is someone called Airborne Snow Observatory. They do some more like weather, I don't want to say modification, but more like upper atmosphere weather monitoring is probably a better term.
Yeah. Now, according to the website Airborne, this is what this guy Ritchie brings up, measures snow depth, snow water equivalence, provides highly accurate snowpack data, is a commercial spin-off of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory snow monitoring technology used to help water managers and scientists.
Earlier today in this room, Al Gore was in this room, Larry Fink was in this room, and now we're in the room talking to people about geoengineering, weather modification, and the trails that come behind airplanes, and what's going on.
I don't want aluminum oxides in my lettuce. Are you kidding me?
Say that again? Aluminum oxides.
Aluminum oxides are part of the cocktail from hell that they're spraying above our heads.
Yes. So far, the disguise is working. Nobody recognizes me. If anything, people are very helpful, giving me their cards. Our camera operator, he got kicked out. We have the hidden cameras. Stay tuned. A lot of these people at Davos, definitely not a fan of Donald Trump. I actually refer to him as Orange Man Bad quite a few times with different officials from the United Nations. Nobody seemed to be a fan of Donald Trump, who will be here in Davos Wednesday of this week. When is the Orange Man getting here?
His team is already here. He's speaking on Wednesday, 2 o'clock.
Really? I will not be there for that. His name wasn't Lipton Iced Tea. It was just high tea. We suspected he might have low tea, but he worked at the United Nations for over 16 years. Hi there. Jay, nice to see you. He works where?
United Nations.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been
I saw this job, but I've been with the UN for like 16 years.
You do any education with climate change, and you do anything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, the UN does everything. I mean, we sit in the private sector division of the UN, and we work with over 24,000 companies, so one of them has to be working on that. I mean, in our role, we're not allowed to comment per se.
Yeah. In one of the most shocking and interesting interactions I had here in Davos, I met a man from Denmark who works alongside DARPA. That's the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. And he brings up that people around him would have an inclination to create what he calls artificial rain. He also says that he works with 3-letter agencies.
We're looking at Vanguard Technologies. We're creating our own platform.
Wow.
We're working with laser light comms and DARPA and other projects.
Well, I've heard of this. Significant, serious stuff. Yeah. Do you do any climate risk work?
Climate risk mitigation, yeah, a little bit.
You do a little bit? Yeah. Do you do it? What do you do?
Yeah, so
vaguely.
We fundraise, we structure capital.
I mean, you do any climate weather modification, geoengineering?
Not directly.
Indirectly, or?
No, but are you in that company? Do you have that company in your portfolio that does artificial rain?
Yes, we invest in that. Yes. And are you familiar with this? How about SAI, stratospheric aerosol injections?
Oh, yeah.
And sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, artificial rain, we work in that space, yes.
Wonderful. Out of
yes.
the US?
Correct, Florida.
Yeah.
Florida. Have you done any indirect work with the artificial rain, or?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Do you intend to?
There might be people around me that would be alleged to have an inclination to do that.
United States? Yeah.
And Europe, Central Europe.
Well, good. I'd like to.
Even Africa. I know ministers of foreign affairs in a couple of African nations legitimately.
This man seemed to be inferencing plausible deniability, not something they would ever talk about publicly, but says he was very interested with working with us.
And I'm setting up a space fund together with a friend on behalf of the UAE Space Agency towards doing ground station as a service for island nations.
Wow.
And we're working with the King of Malaysia to set up a space city.
You sound like you're a good man to know.
Maybe. Depends on your ethos and your aptitude.
I understand. Now, DARPA, out of the Department of War, Department of Defense, and the Pentagon, researches atmospheric phenomena like energy propagation, controlling ice. They focus on sensing, understanding, and mitigating cold weather effects. DARPA, to our knowledge, has not publicly announced a project to create artificial rain. It's actually incredibly rare that you ever even meet an official who would discuss anything like this. Now, at that moment, someone became suspicious and started pointing at me, so I got the hell out of there.
I think he noticed your wig, so I think we should go.
Someone noticed the wig, so we have to get the hell out of here. Well, we just got back from Davos. I'm in a secure location. I can't say where I am right now, but yeah, we spoke to a lot of people. Remarkably, the wig, it was like a conversation starter. I mean, I spoke to 2 guys from the United Nations. I spoke to a number of these entrepreneurs with like clean jet fuel, SAF it was called. And I spoke to this one guy from Denmark, and it was remarkable because he actually said that they would think about doing artificial rain, and he works with DARPA, which is a defense agency out of the Pentagon, the Department of War, and works with some three-letter people.
And as I was recording this guy comes up to me, a farmer from this region, and he says he wants to shoot Trump.
You are American?
American.
Oh, the big talking cloud. Trump's the cloud.
Do you not like Americans?
This is the best point to shoot.
Let me just take a photo of it. Shoot the president. I was going to say shoot the photograph of the mountain, and this guy says shoot the president. That's a turret. He's going to blow him up. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is another edition of The Price is My Life with James O'Keefe, where every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time in the United States, we take you inside a major institution. Tune in next week, Tuesday at 1 o'clock. You will not want to miss it. Taking you places no journalist will go, undercover. We're watching. We're waiting. We got to be careful with these Swiss people because they might shoot the president with that turret over there. See you next time.
Oh, man.
All right, let's talk healthcare, because the system is a total
O'Keefe,
mess.
man. You know, I don't often play his full videos, but that one was good. And I think it was the disguise that really got me. I think it was the wig. But the moment everything unraveled, it was caught on camera. Someone spotted his disguise. You could hear the panic. Someone noticed the wig. We've got to get the hell out of here. But not before capturing the money shot confirmation that BlackRock is orchestrating the entire climate industrial complex from behind the scenes. This Davos infiltration proves what we've suspected all along. Your weather, your taxes, and your future are being decided in secret by financial giants and defense contractors. While they eat truffle potatoes on Swiss mountaintops, they're engineering systems to control every aspect of your environment. O'Keefe risked everything to expose this conspiracy. The fact they immediately tried to shut him down tells you everything about how explosive the information really is. You see, the climate agenda isn't about saving the planet. It's about controlling you. Do you think weather modification programs should be public knowledge? Don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop to support real investigative journalism that exposes the truth they don't want you to see. And we have some more big truth coming up. That's right. Walmart truth. Buckle up. And we are about to hit our next topic here. Checking in on our super chats, $96.95. We're only just a few bucks away. Do you hashtag coming in strong? Dig, Gary, dig, he says. Comes again, $5. Death cult. We make a bunch of machines to produce as much oxygen from CO2 as a rainforest. We poison the oceans so they don't produce CO2. Not new evil. And again, $5. He says, block out the sun to damage the plants still producing less CO2, harm the ocean balance, damage crop production, livestock meat production, lab meat. And another $5, he says, faces needed for drone videos, kind of like the boats, artificial rain was 70s, 80s in Texas. Wonder if micro HARP systems launched in the X-35-37. Interesting. Well, we're only a couple bucks away from hitting our goal tonight. How exciting. All right, we're going to move right into our next topic here because this one is a doozy, as they say. Clear my throat. You guys are still hanging out late night with us here at the Next News Network on the Raw feed. Thanks for sticking around. Over 1,000 people hanging out with us. And over on X, I see like another 1,000 or so. Great to see everybody. On Rumble, we got about 100. The Facebook numbers don't register well. I'm not sure exactly why that doesn't work, but nonetheless, I know we've got a lot of people watching over there too. Because you're here with me. All right. Reset your clock, Brian. Uh-oh. You lost me. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, do you want me to set a timer then on my phone or something? Okay, well, I'll get it sorted out over here. I'll set a timer so I can track how long I'm running. No worries. We'll take care of it, Brian. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Something broke. All right, I'll just put this timer up here in front of me so I can keep track of it. And then we'll, I'm going to go ahead and hit start on that. It's not hitting. Now my timer doesn't want to start? Oh, wait. Oh, I got to hit stopwatch. There we go. Okay, that's what we wanted. Okay. All right. I'm ready. Customers across America are discovering something shocking when they weigh their Walmart meat purchases on store scales. The packages are systematically mislabeled with weights that are sometimes more than double what customers actually receive. One ham that was labeled at 5.34 pounds actually weighed just 2.24 pounds. That's a $25 ripoff right there. But how deep does this fraud go? You see, this is not just about a few mislabeled packages. We're talking about systematic consumer fraud that violates federal weights and measures laws. Think about how many times you've grabbed meat from Walmart without checking the weight. How much money have you been overcharged over the years? Multiply that by millions of customers nationwide, and we're looking at potential theft on a massive scale. What makes this even worse is that it's hitting families hardest during a time when grocery prices are crushing household budgets. You see, President Trump is working on that because food inflation has been squeezing American families. And now we discover one of the nation's largest retailers might be systematically overcharging customers through fraudulent weight labels. This goes far beyond corporate greed. It's potential criminal fraud that demands a federal investigation. And speaking of protecting your wealth from corporate fraud and economic uncertainty, let me tell you about today's sponsor. If you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what is coming next? You see, many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets, with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. That is where Noble Gold Investments comes in. They're helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios. So right now might be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit nextnewsgold.com and build your portfolio for the long term, or you can call that number on the screen. Now back to this Walmart weight fraud scandal that's exploding across social media right now. You see, the evidence keeps piling up. Multiple customers are now posting videos, we have them, showing the same pattern. packages marked at weights that are 50 to 100% higher than actual weight. One shopper found discrepancies within just 2 minutes of checking. Federal weights and measures laws exist specifically to prevent this kind of fraud, with serious penalties for violations, yet customers are documenting this happening systematically across multiple Walmart locations nationwide. Look at your screen. Walmart inflating the weight of their meat. More than half of the weight written on the packaging. When we say these people are corrupt, we're being scammed, it is no exaggeration. Is Walmart inflating the food prices? Take a look at this.
And to prove I'm not full of shit, here we go. 4.78 pounds. 2.2 pounds. 4.78. 2.2. Let's look at the other one. 4.9. 2 pounds. Walmart is getting us. They're screwing us. Right? They're screwing us.
Walmart is screwing us. That's what you're seeing right there. She weighed it on the scale right in front of your very eyes. Yes, I know what she looks like. This is the opening allegation, and we've got some serious backup documenting cases and news reports. Believe it or not, this is one of many examples of fraud sale of a product that isn't advertised with its actual weight on the label. Here's a news clip of Walmart customers shocked after the company wrongly advertised a pack of chicken.
I need my money's worth, dog. I need my money's worth. That's very that's very wild, though.
That's
Come
bad.
on, that is very wild.
Walmart
bro.
do better.
Yeah, that is very wild.
Crazy. That's 5 loads right there. That's 5
That is
loads.
really wild.
Okay, so that was not the correct clip, but what you saw was the chicken from the previous clip. It's not just social media chatter. More footage of customers catching Walmart red-handed. A shopper exposing Walmart for mislabeling meat packages after weighing pork on a store scale, finding the marked weight far off from reality. Filmed in one take, the footage proves customers are being overcharged in violation of federal law. Let's watch this one.
Perfect working order. That's fucking insane, Walmart. I keep catching you guys mislabeling this stuff and overcharging us for underweighed products. You fucking greedy bastards.
Oh my goodness, half a pound off. A half a pound off. The evidence is mounting and customers are starting to connect this to broader quality issues across the entire operation. Austin, Texas, Lisa says, I never shop at Walmart. Scam on so many levels. The SNAP in the food industry. Someone brought a tomato to our cookout once. It had no flavor. I did not serve it on our tray. It was a kind gesture to bring food, but it was harmful.
So all of a sudden, Walmart's dropping prices after SNAP benefits get cut off? Not exactly, but let me break it down so you understand how it really works. And remember this, subsidies always lead to inflation. See, Walmart pulls in about $25 billion a year from SNAP. That's a guaranteed government paycheck. And when Biden exploded SNAP by 6%, Walmart turned around and raised prices 25% or more, blaming inflation. But it was really manipulation because when the government hands out more money, of course demand's going to go up. It's basic economics. So now SNAP's paused. You'd think prices would drop, right? Not so fast, because instead of cutting prices, Walmart is cutting inventory to keep the inflated prices stable. When we all know that the demand was never real in the first place. So tell me again, how does it make sense to fund a program where 70% of the money doesn't even go to Americans and at the same time drives up prices on everyone? That's the government transferring your taxes to big corporations who then charge you higher prices. And that's the way it works.
That's the way it works, folks. Walmart receiving $25 billion in stamp benefits. What started as isolated complaints, now becoming a viral phenomenon. People everywhere are asking the same question. Have you heard of the new Walmart scam? Woman who sued Walmart and won negotiations.
A local woman takes on Walmart in court and wins.
Leslie Nurse says she was at the self-checkout at the Sims Walmart with her husband and 3 kids, fighting a malfunctioning scanner, even getting help from a Walmart associate. After she thought she'd finished and paid, she was stopped by an asset protection manager. She was eventually charged with stealing $48 worth of groceries. She was eventually arrested, mugshot taken, but the criminal charge was eventually dropped when no one from Walmart showed up to court. By then, she said, the damage to her reputation had already been done, her ability to make a living stifled by the criminal charge. What was worse, she continued to receive demand letters from a Walmart-affiliated law firm offering to drop the matter if she paid them $200. But it turns out many people do. During testimony in the lawsuit she filed against the company, an expert testified Walmart routinely uses to add insult to injury. Walmart never produced a video that would have been recorded at the self-checkout area that would have proved Nurse shoplifted or didn't.
Did she shoplift or didn't she? Apparently not. Customers filming the same pattern across different products, not just meat. Walmart caught lying to its customers. A 5-pound bag of potatoes is actually 3.5 pounds.
People don't get fooled. They say 5 pounds of potatoes, right? Rice, 364. Now let's see how much some motherfucker is. Oh look, only 3.5 pounds, and they're selling us 5 pounds. Who's stealing who? Walmart. Well, I got my 5 pounds. Shit.
Wow. And here's the most damning evidence yet. Actual footage shows just how massive the alleged fraud really is. American says you could basically pick anything up at Walmart and walk it over to the scale, and its weight will be marked high. So he picks up a ham, it shows it's marked 5.34 pounds, walks to the scale, weighs 2.24. Americans are being robbed blind.
At Walmart again. I'm telling you, you can go up and down this meat aisle. Just pick anything out. Look through it a little bit, pick anything out. Let's go weigh this one on the scale. They're saying this ham here, what is it? Kentucky Legend ham? They're saying this ham right here, this little bitty ham, is 5.34 pounds. Let's take it to the scale. It's a good thing they put these scales in here so we can keep Walmart in check. Let's check this out. 2.25. They were trying to get somebody for $25. $25.59 for this. How many in here are off? How many in there are off? Start digging through here, see how many in here are off. If I was unknowing, I was in a hurry, I just grabbed that ham and threw it in, it would rang up $25. I literally spent about 2 minutes in here. I started going up and down through things, looking at stuff. I found this in 2 minutes. Check your meat, folks. Walmart.
Dude, we need to go to Walmart. Here's the final piece of evidence of the Walmart scam.
All right, so get a load of this. So this is an unopened package of bacon, right? I think we can all agree that that is unopened, okay? So it says that it's 12 ounces. I picked it up and I was like, okay. I mean, I know these usually come in a pound, but I got the 12 ounce instead. It was like $4. So I was just curious. So let's see. Because I know everybody keeps saying that we're not getting screwed, but look at that. That's with the package. Hold on. Right. I don't open it. So you can see it coming out of the package because I know everybody thinks that these are fake. This is not fake. Okay, so this is the bacon that just came out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slices in this thing. Okay, let's see how much it weighs. It says that it's 12 ounces, but we
Don't
saw
put it on raw.
that it
Put
can't
something
possibly.
underneath it. Ugh.
It is 7 ounces.
1/6 ounces. The package says 12 ounces.
Mm-hmm. So shrinkflation isn't real, and they're not scamming us. Right.
Oh my goodness. There it is. You just saw, what, 4 or 5 different pieces of evidence about what Walmart's doing? Oh, you know their CEOs are sweating. You see, the smoking gun is customers are actually finding the discrepancies within minutes of looking. One person grabbing a random ham and found a $25 overcharge immediately. If it's this easy to find fraud, imagine just how widespread it actually is. Every family shopping at Walmart needs to start weighing their meat before checkout. So the real question is whether this represents systematic corporate fraud or just widespread incompetence in Walmart's meat packaging operations. Either way, American families are getting ripped off when they can least afford it. Federal authorities need to launch immediate investigations, and customers need to protect themselves by checking weights before purchasing. The scandal shows why we can't trust corporations to police themselves. They'll take every dollar they can get away with stealing. Do you think Walmart executives knew about this systematic overcharging? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, check out the Next News merch shop. All right. So where are we at now on our $106 now? Nice. Okay, looks like Mystic Florida Mom put us over the top. Going to try Golden Revive Gary Frey. It helps the way it helps you. Always checking in before I go to sleep. You've got the info I look for. Thank you, Mystic Florida Mom. Please let us know in the comments how it works for you. It's always great to hear our viewers trying our products that we promote here and putting their faith in us. It really makes me feel good. And our sponsors, of course, they appreciate it. They keep the show going, just like you do here with your super chats. And do you hashtag back again, $5, pretty deep. It's not just Walmart, it's the absorbers in the bottom two, like Kroger too, paying for fluid, not meat. They add in the absorber's weight. Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. So there you have it, folks. Tonight on the Raw Feed, we pulled back the curtain on a system so rotten to its very core. We started with FBI subpoenas landing on the desk of Minnesota's most powerful Democrats, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Jacob Frey, all accused of obstructing federal immigration enforcement. Then we moved to California, where Gavin Newsom's administration just got caught red-handed, forced to return over $1 billion in fraudulent health care spending on illegal aliens. Meanwhile, President Trump announced a stunning $706 billion offer to purchase Greenland, reshaping America's strategic position on the global stage. And then James O'Keefe delivered again, infiltrating Davos to expose climate elites discussing weather modification, carbon tax schemes, while sipping cocktails with DARPA officials. If that wasn't enough, corruption for one night, we showed you how Walmart has been systematically defrauding customers by inflating meat weights, stealing money right out of your wallet every time you shop. Notice the pattern here? From Minnesota's sanctuary state conspiracies to California's billion-dollar fraud, from Davos elites plotting weather control to corporate giants cheating working families, it's all the same story. It's about power, it's about control, it's about a ruling class that believes they can lie, cheat, and steal from you without consequence. But remember what we discussed at the top of the show. This day in history, January 19th, 1977, when President Ford pardoned Tokyo Rose for her wartime propaganda broadcast. Even then, we understood that words have power, that narrative shapes reality, and that those who control information control everything. The difference today? We're fighting back. We're exposing their lies in real time, from O'Keefe's hidden cameras to everyday Americans documenting Walmart's weight fraud on social media. The truth is spreading faster than they can suppress it. You see, they count on your silence. They count on your compliance. Well, they were wrong. Every subpoena served in Minnesota, every dollar clawed back from California, every secret exposed at Davos, every fraudulent scale uncovered at Walmart. These are not isolated incidents. They're evidence of a system-wide collapse of institutional credibility. The establishment's grip is slipping, and they know it. So before I sign off, don't forget to grab your gear at the merch shop, because supporting independent media has never been more critical. And a huge thanks to all of our Super Chat contributors, everyone who submitted Rumble Rants tonight. You put us over the top. You make this show possible. And you keep us fighting the good fight. You see, they want you demoralized. They want you defeated. They want you to believe that resistance is futile. But every night, you prove them wrong by just being here. I'm Gary Franchi. This has been the Raw Feed. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay free.